Consistency comes from great planning. I've been running sales teams for a few years now, and one thing that always used to piss me off is I would be working my butt off and I would see other people who I thought I was much more talented than getting much better and more consistent results than me. It always used to drive me nuts because I would be working longer hours, I would be working harder. When I was working, I would see them off, doing things for their personal life. And I was like, what am I doing wrong here? It wasn't until I had a conversation with another one of our sales managers that I realized where I was harming myself was in my planning. Here I wasn't anticipating anything, I wasn't prioritizing anything. I was just trying to work as hard as I could. I thought just working twice as hard would result in 2 times the results. And I was very, very wrong. So when it comes to getting the most results and the most out of whatever it is that you're trying to do, proper planning helps make sure that you are getting that consistent results and are getting yourself closer and closer to your goals. We came up with a little bit of a framework here at Cheat Code that we get all of our managers to use, and we call it the 3-2-1. It's really simple. It's just 3 priorities that we plan on executing, it's 2 anticipations, and it's 1 goal that we're pushing for. To put that really simply, accurate planning results in executing on your priorities. It prevents those problems that are going to push you off track and make sure that you are taking those steps closer and closer to your goal. You want to pull in for a service. You don't want to wait until the wheels fall off and you have to go in for a repair. And that's exactly what looking for those anticipations and looking for those problems will do. Awesome. Well, let's start with 3 priorities. So the system that we use is triaging. We've stolen it from hospitals. So how it works there, if you don't know what the word means, is if someone has a broken leg and they're beside someone having a heart attack, which person are they going to fix first? It's always going to be the one that's more important. In this case, the heart attack. We use the exact same process. What are the 3 most important things that if you execute these things will get you closer to your goal? And we do that over the week. So if I'm running a business, I will choose the 3 biggest things that I need to achieve that week that'll help me get closer to what I'm pushing for and make sure that I execute appropriately. With those 3 things, each one of those goals, I will break down the steps to make sure I can achieve it. And then from there, I have a cheat sheet of if I just do these steps and I execute on these 3 things, I will be closer to my goal for the week. And it keeps it very simple. The next thing you'll need to do is once you've got these priorities, you need to review it. We suggest doing it obviously weekly and daily, making sure that every single day you're aligning yourself with, am I on track? Am I doing the things to make sure I can tick this priority off by the end of the week? And what do I need to do to execute it appropriately? Now that we've got our priorities, the next step is anticipations. We call this the shoulder twitch. Now, let's say you're boxing with someone. If you're waiting for that jab, waiting for that to hit you in the face, it's too late. You're not going to be able to get out of the way. Now, in that same situation, if you're waiting for the shoulder twitch, you can anticipate the jab that's coming for your face. Now, in that situation, you're going to be much more prepared to get out of the way. We do the exact same thing when it comes to planning. You don't want to be dealing with a problem while it's hitting you in the face. You want to know the trends to look for so that you can avoid that problem in the first place. Again, that's going to lead to that consistency that you're looking for. So, in your business or in your leadership position, what type of shoulder twitches should we be looking for? Maybe let's say you've got a very important meeting on the Monday and you know a staff member's having a massive party on the Sunday. What can you anticipate could go wrong there? Would some of your key staff not make it into the meeting on Monday? Also, maybe you've got one of your highest performers, again, maybe a sales rep, has been underperforming for a few days in a row. What are they thinking? What is that person expecting? Maybe they want to quit. Maybe they're sending resumes to other places. What can you do to get in front of that problem? Maybe you know there is going to be a few challenges earlier on in the week. What do you need to do to make sure that the people handling those problems have the support that they need to overcome them appropriately? There's all these different things that if you're planning appropriately, you can get in front of the problems before they become a problem. Like I mentioned at the start, that was a big one I wasn't doing effectively. I wasn't seeing problems before they were hitting me in the face. And now finally, it's the goal. You've probably heard the phrase, the top 1% of earners in the world look at their goals every single day. And the same applies here. If you've got a goal that you're pushing for, make sure that goal is front and center so that every single time that you look at these priorities daily, you're being reminded of why those priorities and those anticipations are important. A really good way I've heard this put previously is you need to focus on the road and not the bugs on the windshield. It's so easy sometimes, especially if you've got this big, hairy, audacious goal, that you are pushing yourself and you can get caught up in the problems. You can get caught up in the things that stop you from executing on those priorities. You can get caught up on those massive shoulder twitches that you missed and they hit you in the face. But as long as that goal's there and you know why you're pushing for it, don't get distracted by what's on the windscreen. Continue to look at the road and you'll continue to get to where you're going. Now, there's an old fable. It's ancient Greece. And a man wants to climb Mount Olympus to meet the gods. And he approaches a mountain, and at the bottom of the mountain there's an old man. And that happens to be Socrates, one of the most famous philosophers of all time. Now, as he approaches, he sees the old man and he asks, "Excuse me, how do I get up the mountain?" He looked at him, he looked up the mountain, and then looked back at him and said, "Well, it's really simple. You just need to make sure every step you take is up the mountain and not down the mountain." It's that simple. When we are prioritizing and planning, we need to make sure every single day we never miss. We need to make sure every step we're taking is getting us closer to that big goal that we've set for ourselves and not getting hit by those anticipations. So I promise you, follow this simple framework and you'll get so much closer to your goals.